All right, we are live. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Musetta Stone. This is the 17th Hangout. Oh, yeah! He's happy about it too. Yeah. So we have all survived. So sorry about not doing it in April, you guys. I had a really crazy last week. Karen also had a really crazy last week. I don't know about Amanda's last week, but
okay with that having been put off a little bit. Yeah.
No, there was.
It's the first day of May. We're not that late.
We're pretty. All right. We've only pushed off by like a week.
Yeah.
No, I remember there was a Wednesday last week. I had a rehearsal at Rogers, and then I had to rush all the way to the naval base for performing arts festival performance. Back to Rogers at 11.
Oh my gosh.
And then I had a lunch, and then Rogers at 1, festival at 2, teaching at 3:30. And I was like, and then I was like, why did I say yes to festival? But it's all good.
Well, you live and learn, right? You go, oh yeah, I could totally do it this year.
Yeah, I know. And it just so happened that it worked out, but I don't know if I'll do this again. It's crazy. But other than,
sorry, that's my clock. Yeah.
I think that's Karen's clock telling us it's time.
Oh yeah, well, I like my clock. It's chimey. I like it. Amanda, you are sick.
I am not feeling hot. Yes.
Is it allergies?
No, I'm pretty sure I had a fever on Sunday.
Ooh, okay.
So I've just been kind of like riding it out with some Tylenol, and yeah, it's good times. On the plus side, my kids are really nice to me because my patient's at like all-time low. Seriously, you do not want to mess with me this week. They're like, okay.
Yeah. There's like a virus going around the island right now. I don't know if it's in the metro area, but like every other child that comes into my studio, I'm just like, here's a mask.
Oh
here's
no.
a mask. Here's a mask, and I'll wipe down the keyboard every single time because it's like,
yeah, it's pretty gross.
Yeah, but hopefully you feel better. How's work? I mean, I guess, are you guys just rushing to the end of June at this point?
Yeah, it's just like the last haul. My intermediates have one more concert, but then like the high school that we feed into want to do this like celebration of music. So like now I have to get my kids ready for the end of May instead of the middle of June.
Oh, okay.
And we'll see if that works. I don't know.
You'd be surprised. Sometimes kids, really kind of like just take the lead sometimes, right?
They really surprise you, and you're kind of like, where did that come from?
Yeah. I mean,
I've had both ends of that surprise.
I mean, speaking of which, Karen, we had that experience last week, right, with one of your recorder classes where they just showed up.
Yeah.
And it sounded amazing.
Yeah, it was one of those classes where I was just resigned to them coming on stage and sounding like crap because I was like, you know what? You haven't been focusing for the last little bit, so whatever, like just do it. And they played, and they had like best tone. They were all together. They were unified. I was like, where is this coming from? I'm kind of like, hey, what?
Yeah. That usually happens in like my ukulele class when they sound like a hot mess until like the week for the concert. And I'm like, how do you not know your lyrics and any of your chords? We've been doing this for 3 months. And then they show up and they're like, everything's playing perfectly. Everybody gets the strumming patterns. Everybody knows their chords. Everybody has their words memorized. And I'm like, I hate you all.
Though, there were some kids that just couldn't hide the fact that they were just doing this.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had some teachers kind of go,
really?
were they doing anything?
There was
they weren't.
There was one. So I was sitting on the left-hand side of the gymnasium. There was a child right at the edge there, and he was doing that. And I was like, oh, you don't know your part.
And I'm in front of them doing it.
Yeah. I know.
And I do that all the time. And I'm like, I go so slowly, and it's just like, they just can't. Okay.
If it makes me feel any better, I have kids that strum up instead of down. Even though.
Yeah.
I do this. I'm like, here, like this, guys. And they're going like this. Like they take their phone and they go whoop, whoop, whoop. I'm like, I don't even know how to possibly correct that because I'm literally.
Mine complained that it hurt their finger. Then I'm like, well, you're strumming too hard.
I'm like, maybe suck it up and grow some calluses, guys.
Yeah. Sensitive bunnies.
Yeah. Anyway.
Are you, Karen, are you done all of your concerts now then?
Oh yeah. This week is movie week, and then it's going to be some sort of composition-y sound
Nice
exploration, and then bingo for the last little bit. So it's like smooth sailing now.
Nice. That's awesome. Yeah, April. Okay, I was really glad April was over, and then I forgot it was May today.
Yeah.
Well, like so I normally Tuesday nights after I'm done work, I usually take my car because I need it for gymnastics, so that I get home late. So I took my car and then I usually drive it back Wednesday. So I drove it back today and I was about to leave and I was like, oh, it's May. I didn't buy a bus pass.
Oh.
Every single time, every single month, I forget to buy the bus pass. I don't know why. I could just buy it early, but I don't. So I was like, I like walk back into the house and be like, hey, Dad, do you have $250? Because, you know, I don't have cash.
On your phone.
Huh?
We set a reminder on your phone.
Well, yeah, I have now. So I set a reminder like a week before. So I just need to like do it. But yeah, so crazy. But April was a crazy month and I'm glad it's over. May will be a little bit more fun, which was kind of nice.
Oh.
Except for Amanda. Amanda has a crazy first half of May.
Do I?
But those kids ready.
Oh my God. I can't even. I can't even. I'm like, guys, these are, I think I actually said, I'm like, these are freaking quarter notes, guys. They're quarter notes and half notes. Come on.
Hey, you know what? I had a very young kid today. We were playing a piece called The Rising Sun, and essentially it's just like kind of like black key quarter notes going up and then like mixed in with some eighth notes and stuff. It's pretty simple. Today I was like, hey, what happened to your rhythm? He's like, I just feel like the page was telling me not to do the rhythm.
What? How?
So I was like, oh, okay. The page was telling you not to do the rhythm. I guess we're not doing it then.
So yeah, so like some composers written something. You know how they write the little notes at the top? It's like ignore rhythm.
Yeah. So yeah, I was like, all right, you know what? I'm gonna double down on this. So we just played a game where we just replaced all of the fast notes and slow notes with like this, like a certain rhythm.
Yeah.
So like, still a structured rhythm. So he still learned something. But hey, you know, sometimes kids just don't care.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Yeah. I have a grade 9 student who's like, why do we have to play Bach in the style of Bach? I was like, that's a valid question. I mean, you won't get a good mark in your exam, but it's a very valid question, right?
Yeah, they don't really like it.
Yeah.
They're pretty square.
Yeah. I spent 25 minutes today with my percussion kids playing quarter notes and eighth notes with a metronome.
Oh, hey, you know what? I will say.
Literally set a metronome. I'm like, play eighth notes, play quarter notes, eighth notes. You are a percussionist. This is like the basic like skill that you need. Yeah.
Here's the thing. I mean, we'll talk about this and then we'll move to the book. I don't remember if I struggled with metronomes when I was growing up. Did you guys struggle with following the metronome growing up?
Only, I very distinctly remember struggling keeping time below 90.
Okay.
Actually, mid to lower tempos are harder because I like all my kids do. They want to speed up. Like and that's a skill that I've gained as I've played more. But for them, like playing at like anything andante is like slow, torturous murder for them.
Right. Because this is something that I've been experimenting with some of my students. I find that if it's a digital metronome, none of them can do it. Or it's rare for them to do it. If it's analog or like something physical, like the clicking ones, they actually do better.
Huh.
So I'm wondering if it's because of that physicality, the physical creation of the sound makes it easier for them to hear, because I'll plug in the metronome with earphones and put them in one of their ear and they still can't do it. But I wonder if it's because it's a digital sound. So I've been experimenting with kids, and so far, like they don't like magically do it better, but they do a little bit better.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wonder if there is something to that, because I really dislike my digital metronome, but I grew up with the full on ticking one.
Yeah.
And that was something about seeing it in the corner of your eye. And the actual click of it is like
yeah. That's interesting.
We have one. I don't know where mine is, but I have one, and I remember buying the specific one because it's a digital sound, but it's got a flashing light at the top. So it's like, I call it my little landmine. So when I set it,
it's a Yamaha. It's a Yamaha.
Yeah, it's a Yamaha. It's like blue on the top.
Yeah, it's like a cone, like a squished cone.
But yeah,
I have the cube one.
Yeah. But that one, like when I had my private student, if I turned off the light or I moved it away from her, she struggled. But if I put it on a table where she could see the light, or on the stand where it's propped up, she actually glances at the light, but then she can read the music and see the light. Like,
have you done the thing where you're following the metronome and you're tapping on their shoulder?
Yeah.
Along with the metronome so that they feel it physically?
Yeah, I've done that. I've stood behind my percussionist and I tap their shoulder. I'm like, okay, now play eighth notes. And they do better but I can't stand behind them and do it during the concert.
No, of course not.
Yeah.
But
so like, I'm glad I asked you guys. I'm gonna experiment with the whole like clicking metronome and then like moving it away so they can't see the arm moving. And I'll see if it's like a visual thing or a physical sound thing, because I'm really interested, because most of my students can't do it, and I don't remember me having an issue with it. So I don't know. Yeah. Or just the fact that none of them practice as much as we did. So. All right, you guys.
It's a full-on confession of every music person. We didn't practice enough. That's just what it is.
Yeah.
That flow chart. Like, did you practice? Yes. Practice again. Did you practice? No. Go practice. That's literally everything.
It's all good. All right, you guys. Let's go to our book. So this book is called White Tears, and how do you pronounce it?
Hari Kunzru.
Yeah. So this is Amanda's pick. And Amanda, first of all, how did you find this book?
This was Karen's pick.
Oh, Karen's pick. Sorry. Karen's pick. Sorry. My bad. Karen, where did you find this book?
I was just looking up on Goodreads any books that were tagged music.
Okay.
So I had to sift through the romance, because there's a lot of that. And I was going through ones that were highly rated and weren't about a band, because that seemed to be a lot of what the other music ones were about. So this one sort of popped up. I think it also popped up a couple times as a recommendation to listen or to read after reading the How Music Got Free.
Oh, okay. Oh, okay. I can see that. Yeah. With this one. I can see that.
So I think it also got recommended. Honestly, I don't really know the origins of my finding, but I found it and I went, ooh, it's short and about music. Sure, why not?
Okay. What are your kind of first impressions, overall thoughts?
My first impression was I loved the first bit. I flew through it in an evening. The last bit, just general confusion.
Well, right, yeah.
I mean, that's sort of my overall.
Amanda, can we agree?
I did. I had some very strong feelings about certain characters in the first chunk, and then at the end, I'm like, I don't know what's going on right now. I'll read this chapter again. Nope, still don't know what's going on. Maybe if I go to the next chapter, this will make more sense.
I reread chapters too.
Yeah, and then 3 chapters later, I'm like, oh, I get it.
A lot of my notes is, oh my goodness, I can't believe, and then never mind.
I agree with you. I I don't know if I was more confused because of the content, or if it was because there was no clear indication when we were in the present or in the past. It was just like they jumped into it, and I know I was reading something like a summary about it, and it like that was the whole point, was that the blurred lines between the past and the present. It was supposed to happen that way, but I'll be reading, and then I'll be like, oh, this isn't Seth. All right, I'll reread this chapter again. In like a different voice, right? Because I was like, wait, why are they talking about slavery? Oh, this is not present day. So
I think the thing that kind of made it go down in my books was the extremely abrupt change in narrator, because you went halfway through the book with Seth as the main character, and then suddenly it was somebody else.
And you're not sure exactly who that somebody else is.
And it would have been fine. Like, I don't mind the blurring of the two. I'm okay with that confusion. But it was so abrupt, the change, that I kind of went, oh, I don't know. And it completely slowed down my reading of it.
Yeah. And you know what? I was actually surprised that bothered me was that there were no chapter numbers. I don't know why that actually bothered me. I think it's just a weird nuance, but I think that's part of the blending. Because you have chapters, and then you just kind of, it's like almost like a straight read through. You're like, okay, it's just a triangle. Oh, it's another triangle.
Do you want to show?
It continues to be a triangle.
Do you want to show one of them?
Yeah, I can.
It looks like this.
Yeah.
But the thing is that it continues to be the same damn triangle all the way through. And for some reason, I thought that, oh, maybe if it switches to another one, the triangle would, I don't know, like turn upside down or give some kind of like significance to it. No, did not.
My favorite was this part of the book where it goes, ha 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 ha, ha 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 ha.
Yeah, it does.
Why?
Versions.
But okay, so anyways, so overall impressions. Yeah. So I finished reading the book yesterday.
Okay.
And I was trying to understand. So at one point, right, you have this continuous storyline with Seth.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden this other one overlaps. And they continue on until they merge together at the end, right? So I was like, oh, was the author trying to be like, hey, look, this is what you did with the guy singing. You had his song, and then you kind of like superimpose all those things on top to create the album.
Yeah.
Like, you mean like the song that they did? So I was like, wait, so is that what happened? That was really I was like, but, and then at one point it got so blurred, like the interrogation scene, that part, right? When he was taken to the police department. Once it happened there, then all of a sudden everything just went like boom, and I was like, what's going on?
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
But should we maybe should we talk about like maybe the first half of it first?
Yeah.
And then go to the second half? Okay, so first half, essentially we followed this guy named Seth, and he's like, first of all, we know that he's poor, and he's really into acoustics and really into kind of environmental sounds and stuff like that. And he creates his own technology to capture music and capture noises around him, and that's how he becomes friends with Carter, who is this like, you know, heir to like a multi-billion-dollar company of some sort. We understand that the company
down.
Oh.
Matt.
Yeah, Matt, go down.
Sorry.
No, it's okay.
On a counter.
Okay, but even at the very beginning, the friendship is really weird.
Yeah.
It's weirdly balanced.
Yeah, because
I wouldn't even say it's balanced. It's really just Carter being like, let's go do this. Go. And then just kind of him pulling him along. Seth doesn't, at least that's what I felt like. Seth was just kind of like along the ride.
Passive. He just lets things happen. And he kind of just goes with them. Like, someone says, let's go here. And he's like, okay. And then he kind of gets like angry when things don't go his way. And it's like, dude, you don't do anything.
Yeah. But Carter holds all the money.
But
Like,
even
it's
if you think about it too, the fact that he walks around with microphones on his ears and he's recording everything, that's passive in itself. He just walks around and records things and then listens to it. Like, that's passive. It's super just like sitting back and letting things happen.
Yeah. But that was the first thing where I'm like, Seth is a weird freaking guy. Because as soon as I started reading the beginning, I'm like, okay, this guy's really into soundscapes. He really likes the environment. And then he's like, I just sit there and listen to like pigeons cooing like all day or like the tracks. I'm like, all right, probably not something somebody I would really be close friends with, but you know, whatever floats your boat.
Yeah.
I do have to say, we all knew that composition student in music school where you're
yes, we did.
Oh, hi, you.
No, I do not want to do a project with you.
Sorry, Matt.
No, but I was gonna say like the one cool thing about that was like even though yes he was weird, he had like he was kind of eccentric, but in the story the author takes that and actually creates something out of it, right? Yeah. So he's like, oh, so there's a Seth guy who's really into like just natural sounds and stuff, and then there's Carter who's really into like old-timey style of music. He really loves the like kind of like the gritty kind of like real kind of like voice. He hates digital, and it just so happens that Seth really loves natural sounds, and they somehow create a business together where they essentially help musicians create a more quote unquote real life sound into their music, and they're actually successful with it at the beginning, right? So I was like, that's really interesting.
It sounds like too that Seth basically was the brains behind the whole thing.
Yeah,
he was the sound engineer and he was the one mixing all the stuff. Where Carter was kind of just like, "Hey, here's this new thing that I bought.
Yeah, here's another recording. Here's this. Here's this."
I mean, I guess he was there and listening as well, and that's just important. As important to say, "Hey, what if you do this? What if you do this?" But yeah.
Well,
but then later, when everything is like kind of whatever, Seth is like, "But that's my music. It's my music. I created that. How could?"
Yeah. Well, but like also, I was gonna say just for Carter, like one of the things that he did to kind of contribute was that he had the money to buy all of these vinyls. Yeah. And they would actually rip sounds off of these vinyls as well, right? They would just take like some of the like the background noise and stuff, and they would use that as tracks to overlay on some of their stuff. So up until that point, I was along for the ride.
Yeah.
I was also really confused, and I was reading through it. I read through the first part of it again because when I was first reading it, I thought Seth was gay, that he had hidden feelings for Carter because he was always so frustrated about why is Carter not here? Why is he not paying attention to me? Blah, 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 blah.
No,
and then all of a sudden Leonie happens?
He hadn't, it's not interdependent. It was a dependent relationship.
Yeah, a codependent.
Codependent, thank you.
Yeah. But like for me, I was like reading into it. I was like, because like at one point he was just like, oh, he's shirtless. And he was like describing like Carter and all of these, like, I was like, and then like his shirt and how he does this and stuff. I was like, is there like an underlying attraction thing happening? So I was like gung-ho for that. I was like, great. There's these two guys. They're like, one is really high but loves old music. The other one is like an engineer. They might have this like sexual tension, but they're trying to get along. And like, you know, they need more money. And so they go, and then we start realizing, oh, hey, look, you know, Carter, even though he says he's disinherited, he's not really. Essentially, the disinheritance is the fact that his brother controls all the money, essentially. But he still has money. He still has tons and tons of money.
Yeah, right? He's almost disinherited his family. He's like, no, you just don't understand my art. Whereas his family's just like, no, we're just letting you do your own thing right now, and we're just gonna bring you back.
Mm-hmm. So up until then, like we kind of like see Leonie. We get introduced to the sister. We get introduced to the older brother, Cornelius. What a name.
Okay, I will say that one of the teachers at my school is named Cornelius.
Is he a doctor? Does he have Dr. Cornelius?
No, but he's a lovely man. He teaches 7 at my school.
It's just not a name you hear anymore. Neither Leonie. I've not come across any Leonies. They're very old world, except Carter. Carter's not really.
That's the thing.
No,
that threw me off. And I was just like, it's like how like some people are just like, oh, there's these really cool names, and then here you get Bob.
Well, Robert, right?
Robert, right?
Yeah.
So there's that, right? And right off the bat, Cornelius, he's condescending, obviously, right? Doesn't really trust Carter, right? And definitely doesn't trust Seth. He thinks that Seth is just essentially a leech,
Yeah.
right, to the family. But but they get the money anyways. But underlying all of this storyline, we know that Carter is obsessed with something that Seth had recorded. So it was part of a chess game that he was watching, and then one of the guys started singing the song. And we're the first time he hears it, we notice that it's important because he goes, I usually am really good at hearing everything and remembering where I was, but I don't remember where I was at this point. I don't remember what happened. There were things that I was like, oh yeah, I remember there was a girl the skateboarder that skated by, but a roller skater, sorry, but I don't remember her at all. The sound's there, but
he could remember the first line of it when the guy started singing that first line, but he thought it was just a one-off line. But then when he went to go listen back to it, there was more to it.
Yeah. So Carter hears that, and he completely gets obsessed with it, and he's like, you need to clean it up. You need to clean it up. Oh, no. Did Carter clean it up? Seth didn't clean it up. I think Carter did it.
Yeah, I think what happened was Seth cleaned it up, and then Carter obsessively searched all of his sound stuff for something, and then found a guitar playing somewhere.
Yes.
And took the guitar playing and put it underneath.
And it matched.
The guy singing, and it matched perfectly. But that being said, blues is pretty standard, 12 bars, right? So you could kind of just play 1 and 5 and 1, 4, 5. It could match, really.
But it was at that point when they got everything done, and Carter's like, oh my God, this is it. This is it. This is the best thing ever. Yeah. And then leak, and everybody lost their freaking minds over it.
Yeah. And then we get introduced to the guy named Jump Jim, who's an alias, and it's the first time we get some type of tension outside of the family. So all of a sudden they're like, oh hey, there's this almost a conspiracy happening. This guy is I know this music. Where did you get it? How did you get it? What is on the other side of the vinyl? Because it's real. And you're like, well, no, we made up this name, and we made up this name of the song. And he's like, no. The last time I heard this guy was a long time ago. And
it's a real guy.
Yeah, it's a real guy. But but these two guys are Seth is what's going on? We don't know. And they kind of play him as a fool. And Seth meets him, and Carter does not. And Carter gets upset because Seth should have known to buy vinyls off of him or whatever, or try to buy his album. So at this point, Carter is a collector of these vinyls, and something happens to Carter, and we don't he gets beaten up, right? And then he gets put in the hospital, and then that causes this kind of downward spiral of the story starts unraveling essentially right then and there. I think what did they say? They said that the second they put out the song was essentially releasing the devil, right? Releasing Charlie Shaw's spirit.
Yeah.
Back into the world. Because his whole idea was that no one got to hear his music.
Yeah.
Right? And he wanted revenge for that.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry, I totally forgot about that. I was like, oh yeah, I forgot.
But up until there, the storyline was pretty linear, right? You're like, okay, so this is happening, and then
it kind of explodes into all these things that are hey, my brain is leaking out through my ears because I don't know what's happening anymore.
Yeah. Well, because what happened was there's so he goes, he finds out that Carter gets the crap kicked out of him, and then realizes that his family is this is your fault, and shuts him completely out
of the hospital and everything. And he's like, I don't understand. This is not my fault. And he gets blamed for, am I just going on with the plot?
Yeah.
Okay, he gets blamed for Carter's death, and for some reason, I don't know why I don't remember this. He gets finally let go because, Leonie goes and visits him, and she's found dead, and they charged him with her murder.
Oh, no. So what happened was,
that was after. That was even when he was in the hospital, though.
Yeah, that was after. So in the hospital, so Leonie is with Seth, and then Seth accidentally talks to a journalist, thinking that it's Carter's friend.
Oh,
He
that's
Carter's
right.
information. Leonie's like, you betrayed us.
Yeah.
And Cornelius owns the studio space. So he locks Seth out. So Seth has nothing. And all he has is clothes and Carter's records that he puts into like a safety deposit box of some sort to keep it safe. But he's been trying really hard to talk to Leonie, and she doesn't talk to him really. He confronts Jump Jim again, and Jump Jim tells him the story of Charlie Shaw, and that's how that whole history happens.
Yeah, that's right. Sorry.
That's when we go back in time, and we're suddenly thrust into Jump Jim's point of view because wasn't it? It's Jump Jim telling the story.
He was telling the story of how him and Chester lie. Because Jump Jim was telling Seth. Sorry.
Yeah.
He's like, understand this is a real person, and the last time I heard Charlie Shaw was with this guy Chester Bly, and then it goes into the story of how those two went and found.
But I was going to say that it's complex because it's him telling Seth what Chester told him.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's not secondhand, it's third hand. So we're getting the back and forth. And so it's them going on this road trip together of what happened. And that's
no, isn't it first person? Because Jump Jim went with Chester.
Yeah, he was the young guy driving.
He was the guy. He was with Chester going to find Charlie Shaw, but then Jump Jim as first person also told.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So
it's just
that's what I'm saying.
Third person coming in.
That's what I'm saying. It's Jump Jim telling the story to Seth, but in his first person of what him and Chester were going through, and then Chester telling him his story. So there's like a extra dimension to it.
And then
I think the thing that threw us off, I don't know, it certainly threw me off, was the fact that it was so abrupt.
Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think Matt was talking about this, that you had to go back and reread some chapters because you started reading it and went, oh wait, nope, I don't know what's happening. Go back. Okay, I think I know what's happening. Okay, fine, I'll just keep going. Because there was that confusion there, that's when, to me, the story actually started lagging, because
you have to wrap your brain around a new thing.
Yeah.
It's not even just like a person, it's time, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, present day, Seth. And then it's like 1920s, I think it was, or 50s or whatever, with Chester and Jump Jim.
Yeah.
And then it starts, and then it's just kind of blends together at the end where you're like, well, okay, I'm just going to read this through and whatever I understand.
I do like that it blended eventually, that it was going back and forth, and you didn't know if you were Seth or if you were Charlie. Is that who you were?
No,
or Charlie or Jump Jim, depending on which chapter you're
in. But you just didn't know who you were, and it was all kind of muddled together, and I really, really liked that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I forgot that there was the third timeline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
because my brain really hurt when I read.
I think this is one of those books where you can't, at least the way that I could understand it at the end was, you can't just like straight up read it. You kind of read, and then it's like you have to look at the whole picture, as opposed to here's this paragraph, here's this paragraph. Because I would finish a chapter, Kun said, like you get to a certain point and then you finish a chapter, you're like, okay, clearly this did not fit in with what I previously knew.
Yeah.
So I will just take this idea and stick it over here.
Yeah.
And here's where the rest of the book is so far.
Yeah, because my main thing was, generally speaking, if there is a person that goes, hey, I have a story to tell, the next chapter is when he starts telling the story.
Yeah.
Right? They jump right into the storytelling. But
Not here.
He's like, hey, look, I'll tell you something. And then the present day storyline keeps on going, and then all of a sudden it jumps in. Yeah. And also, sometimes, like in books, if they're talking in the past, it's italicized, you know?
But it's not.
It's more italicized. So like I was like, so that's why I was like, wait, is this a certain type of writing style that I'm not used to? Do some people write this way? Because it seems like so he dangles the information saying that, hey, Seth knows the storyline. That's why he's convinced Leonie that they have to go to Mississippi.
Yeah.
They have to go south. And so they're going south. And you're like, okay, so he has this information. He'll tell us as Seth soon, and all of a sudden then the storytelling happens. And Seth is not telling us the story. He's not regurgitating it, right?
But that's the thing, it's all in first person.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which also like really messed me up. Because sorry, that's just the extra layer. I'm like, I went to Jackson. I'm like, okay, I went to Jackson, Mississippi. This could be any of the three people that we were talking about right now. Which one?
I think it's the style of literary fiction where, you know, it's aiming for that I'm trying to push the boundaries. Because in this book, correct me if I'm wrong, because I don't remember, there's no quotation marks, right?
No, it's just dashes. Dashes.
Big dash.
So they do dashes when they're speaking, and to me, that's a very literary fiction thing to do. So you've got no chapter headings, you've got the dashes instead of quotation marks, and then you have this blurring and skipping between things. That it's not our basic sort of storytelling framing device, which is kind of cool. I do like that.
Yeah, I found it interesting. I was just confused.
Yeah,
because as I started the book anyways, I was like, okay, all right, I understand what's going on. There's these two people. One's like a tech junkie, but really kind of like silent and kind of like, you know, like a passive. And then this rich guy who's like has all this wealth, and they're gonna create something cool together, music.
Yeah.
And it kind of turned into possession, like human possession.
Well, I told you guys this. I knew going in, it's horror.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say it's horror, but I knew because it was given that title that something was gonna happen.
Mm-hmm.
And
I feel like a thriller,
description, right? Even in the description, it said, you know, they're gonna be not haunted, but Charlie's gonna kind of come for them.
Yeah.
So you knew something was up, but you just didn't know quite. Oh, that okay.
Yeah. But even knowing that, by the end, I'm like, the hell just happened. Like even by the end, I'm like, I think I know what happened. I kind of understand what happened. Yeah. But as I was saying to both of you earlier, I'm like, by the time I finished, I think I stopped and I'm like, okay, now I need to look up a summary just to make sure that what I'm thinking actually happened. Because none of this stuff that is in here, like on the back of the book, it says where they encounter a suppressed history of greed, envy, revenge, and exploitation. And it's written there in the book, but at the same time, the way that he's written it, none of that is outwardly said. It's all just so alluded to.
Yeah.
At least in mine.
I mean, it is sort of put in there at the beginning where you have Carter, who's a white, privileged, very rich, you know, high.
But you don't know how that's cool.
But he's totally into Black, authentic music, so poor people music, and he's just like really into it. So you kind of get that at the beginning, but it's not really discussed until the very end.
Well, that's the thing. Like you understand, okay, it's a rich kid and it's a poor kid, and they're looking at like poor old like Black music.
Yeah.
But you don't get like the depth of it until all the actualizations at the very end. And then
because like the very first time you realize that like I said, it was, you know, in the abstract. That's not the word that I'm thinking. The what do you call it? Like, you know, the little blurb in the back. What is that called?
The blurb.
The blurb. Yeah, like
The
in that one, like,
synopsis,
you know that there's something to do with race and stuff like that. But the first time we actually hear how race is connected with Carter and them is the fact that Charlie Shaw was wrongly done by the Wallace family ancestors.
And
right?
that's not revealed until what, the last 50 pages or so?
Like the 80% into the book, essentially, right? So we don't know what the history was and why there was any connection until at that point. And then you're like, whoa, okay, so there is a connection with the Wallace family and with Charlie Shaw. I just wasn't expecting it to be that, like, that close.
That loaded, yeah. And I think the thing that I always struggle with too is the sins of the father.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's why does Carter have to suffer for what his great grandfather did?
Something like that.
Yeah, I mean, I understand. I do understand him taking Charlie's music and broadcasting it to the world. That I can understand him being angry about. Charlie being angry about, but the like getting mad at him because he didn't get to make his music because he got arrested and beat up by the cops.
Yeah, but the thing is,
that wasn't Carter's fault. That wasn't.
But even Leonie and Cornelius and even the parents, like none of them are directly responsible for this. I think it's what it said was that they were still exploiting people for their company, which is why they're so rich. Which I get. I think I understand why you're still angry, but at the same time, it wasn't them that drove you.
So essentially, the themes of this book, you know, is exploitation and who owns music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because like, I think that like that's the thing, right? Is just the book starts off somewhere, and maybe it's because I read fantasy. I'm used to knowing exactly what I'm getting myself into and having a certain trajectory. And then if things happen, it's like, oh, surprise. Whereas this one, I was like, all right, I'm in for this. Like, I'm on this track. And all of a sudden I'm on this track and I'm back on that track, right?
No,
so
you're in a train. You're going down the track, and then you look out the window and you're actually in the sky flying. When did I get in a plane?
Yeah.
Really, you're not in a plane. You're in a helicopter. Like, when did that become a helicopter? Up, down the plane, up, down, a submarine. And you're like,
yeah. So essentially, like first of all, I couldn't put the book down for the last 50 pages because I was like, if I stop now, I'm gonna be really confused. I'm just gonna keep reading. I'm gonna keep reading.
I got to the finish for those last 5 pages where it's just the laughing blues or whatever it's called. You're like, yes.
No, okay, because essentially the time, like the incident where all 3 of the storylines get connected together, or so there's 2 storylines. There's Jump Jim and Seth's storyline. They're coming together, and the first time Seth's story and Charlie Shaw's story gets connected is at the police station, where it's interrogation and then flashbacks and all this stuff happening, and you're like,
that was really cool to read, though.
Yeah,
that was really cool to read.
Really cool.
And it was interesting because when they don't do the quotation marks and they just have the dashes, and you don't have so and so said, like Charlie said, Seth said, and to go through it and kind of just like, I think I know who's saying this.
Yeah,
I think I know who's saying this.
That's when the dashes really lent themselves
to this particular style of writing, which is really cool. And it kind of made sense at the end where I'm like, oh, okay, why you can't say he said, she said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's very like actually very cleverly put together, this book, after you look at it.
Yeah. I was just gonna say that scene in the police station, right as I was reading this, I was like, okay, this book, I could see it as a movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right? Because it just jump cuts. It constantly jump cuts. And it's yep, movie, make this into a movie because it would be so interesting, right? Because at the very end, like, so we have the police scene, right? Where it's just like back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And then at the very end, we also have a scene where we go back to the, is it the St. James Hotel? Is that the hotel name?
St. James Hotel,
yeah, right. So
he goes to record.
Yeah, there's a super like imposed thing of Charlie Shaw going there, imagining that he was going to record with you guys, and then it actually doesn't happen, right? And then, but then it's like it's flashy. It's like, oh, I'm wearing like white and black, and everyone thinks I'm just a waiter. I have a knife. What's going on? And then he goes into the kitchen and whatever, and then like there's this confrontation with Cornelius. I know what you've done, and you're like, what the hell? Like, why is it Cornelius? That was the name of the ancestors, and it just like goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. I can totally see like a scene in a movie where like it's Charlie Shaw walking, and then he goes behind a pillar, and Seth shows up. You know, and it's constantly very, changing, right?
It's very The Shining-esque.
Yes.
In many ways.
I would almost say Fight Club too, where it's just little flashes.
Little flashes of something. And you don't realize that that it's really actually the same person that's kind of going all the way through. Because I think we're not prepared for, oh, it's a possession.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. But you know what? It was Seth is the right type of character to be possessed, right? He's passive, and then at some point he goes, "What's the point? What's the point of life? What's the point?" And Charlie goes, "Okay."
Yeah, my turn.
Yeah, this gave me like a Friday the 13th type of feel, where it's like you wronged me, and now I'm going to hurt your family.
Yes, all of them.
All of them. Yeah.
It's not Seth's family. I guess it's Seth's people who are important to him, his sort of circle-ish.
Well, I don't even know if it really was Seth. I think he was just convenient.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, this passive dude who just so happens to be the best friend of the family. He's the convenient one, right?
I like that. Yeah, it's hey, find the passive best friend, the guy that wronged me, so I can possess him and enact all of my revenge on this family because it's the whole family. It's not
the whole family. And the one part that I remember reading, and I'm like, Charlie watched the very end. I'm gonna read this. Charlie watched sitting there, a skinny white boy covered in blood, all written out. If I'd been black, they probably would have shot me. Just put me down right there. And then instead they hung a coat around my shoulders as they led me to the car. And I'm like, that is literally like if they just ended it there, and I'm like, oh, there is the tiny bit left. But that was the whole thing of like, okay, so yeah, he did it. But he is the skinny white boy. And if it had been a black guy, they probably would have tacked him to the ground and just shoved him in the car and charged him.
And we saw that too. We saw
in the jump back scene.
With the cops where they basically were just like, jump him, and they just basically went on him. And it's like times haven't really changed.
No, but it kind of makes you think like if we are considered in the present and Charlie is now in Seth's body.
Yeah.
What happens now? If he's going to stay there and he's taken over and all that kind of stuff, if there was a possible sequel, would he just like get out of jail and continue on his spree with the rest of the Wallace family?
So was Charlie still in Seth by the end of it?
Well, that's the question, right? So I think that he was.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's that one, like when you were reading that part, essentially Charlie was seeing this whole scene from a different perspective. So he was seeing people, right? So he's probably already out.
Yeah, because it doesn't end with Seth kind of just resigned to what happened. He's just like, okay, this is what happened. I'm getting tattoos of the people that I've killed. Yay.
Yeah, but the very last chapter, I'm actually not completely walked into me through the. I'm not completely. Oh, it is written in Seth's point of view.
Yeah.
But it's not.
Well, here's the thing. So I'm looking at the discussion questions. I don't even know if we have time for them. One of them says, what did you make of Charlie Shaw appearing in the flesh to Seth? So in the book, Charlie Shaw appears to him in the flesh, and the question is, what is the purpose of him revealing himself? Do you attribute this to Seth's instability?
Is it putting a face to a name and saying, hey, I'm a real person?
Well, I think it's the whole wolf mouth Shaw thing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that was weird to read.
Right? You know, the part where like he realizes that Charlie is actually, his name is Wolf Mouth. He sees that poster.
Yeah.
And then Charlie just follows him.
Yeah, that was, I know that before, but that was a terrible choice.
Yeah, that was something I didn't get either.
Yeah, I see. When I was looking through, like when I was reading through that, I attributed to like, oh, I don't know if, I mean, reading these questions, I wasn't assuming Charlie Shaw.
Yeah.
I was assuming this is Seth's grief personified, right? And it's coming after him, catching up to him because he's like, nothing, like I can't do anything. This is out of my control, whatever, like life sucks, whatever, right? Can't do anything. And this quote unquote entity is all in his mind telling him you have to do something.
Yeah.
Like,
or
they can't, you know.
Is it Charlie masquerading as grief personified to kind of drive him towards the madness, so that it's like, so when he finally
gives up.
So he finally gives up, so that Charlie
lets him take over.
Yeah. To weaken him, maybe, I guess.
I you know what? I actually think it is a little bit of that instability. Like, as someone who watches way too many horror movies for her own good, there are these scenes in these movies where, you know, the thing that you think is imaginary, suddenly shows up and you're like, holy crap, here it is. It's real. So I think he has been unhinged so much that he, even in the imagination of Charlie kind of just showing up, even if it was imaginary, it probably is a combination of all those things of saying, oh my God, he's actually there.
Mm-hmm. Because, because essentially I think the comparison is that in the past, the Wallace family ruined Charlie Shaw's, like, you know, chances of becoming famous by essentially just, you know, labeling him as black, therefore putting him to work. And if you don't have money, you only got his time, right?
Yeah.
They're essentially working him to the ground. And in the present day, they do the exact same to Seth, right? They take away all of his truths, his music, his work. They essentially suppress him as well. And those are the two kind of parallel storylines. This family has wronged both of them.
Yeah.
Right? The only difference is that Charlie Shaw couldn't do anything about it. And Seth could, right? And ultimately does.
Yeah.
So it's like, it's an interesting kind of like comparison to the two. Because like you guys were saying how like essentially this family has been wealthy because of, you know, using other people, right?
Yeah.
And abusing their power, right?
Yeah.
And it kind of shows in both of these people, right?
Yeah. This is a brain twister of a book, I will tell you that.
You know what's really funny? At the very beginning, right when Leone got killed, I thought it was Cornelius killing off his siblings so that he could have all the family fortune to himself.
Oh, interesting.
Because they said, so Leone dies, and then they're like, oh, her stake of the family wealth is $80 million in shareholders or like shares. So I was like, wait, if both of them are dead, one's in vegetative state, the other one's dead, Cornelius should get all of the money.
Yeah.
I thought it was the older brother just knocking off his siblings.
Yeah. Well, it
could be
valid.
It was left very open.
Mm-hmm.
But then when they arrested like the random black guy for being in the area for her murder, I found that also interesting. Because that's how got off the hook, was like, oh no, you're innocent because this random black guy was just there, so we're gonna charge him for murder, which I also thought was, and they also said it was a group of, I believe, black guys that pulled Carter out of his car because he was in like the wrong neighborhood, so he was like pulled out of his car and got the crap kicked out of him.
So was it Charlie?
Well, that was the question. Was it like Charlie personified, or was it just something happened and
because that's the thing, like, because essentially when Leonie died and they're trying to find out where Charlie Shaw is, there's no record, right? He gets sent to this detention center that keeps no logs of anything, no personal files of anything. So I was like, wait, was this a hired guy? Right? And in the end, the question is it Charlie Shaw who did all of these things? Or was it just the greed of the older brother personified, and then the grief of Seth, right? Personifying all these things that actually cause all of these things to happen in the end, right?
Yeah. It's I don't know. There's so many. I was surprised at the layers of this book, to be honest.
I'm glad we had this conversation because now I like this book way more.
Yeah, actually, I'm like, now that I understand what's actually happening, this is a great book.
Yeah. It was actually like now like we've had this.
So therefore, it's a pretty good book club pick because you read it on your own. You're like,
what the hell?
Okay, but then totally discussing it. I agree. 100%.
Yeah, this is one of those. This is definitely one of those ones where like you have to read it and then you sit and you just kind of let it like process all the way through before you really get it. Because sorry to admit this, I didn't start reading this until Saturday night. Because I had to I'm in this like thing where I'm reading books for my schools and district and whatever. And then I'm like, oh crap, book club's on Wednesday. I should probably start reading White Tears.
Yeah.
And then
but it's fresh in your mind.
It is very
I read it at the beginning of April because that's when my hold came in for the library.
Yeah.
And so I read it and I was like, okay, now I gotta wait like 3-4 weeks.
Was your cover like this?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And can you feel the ridges of the record on the front cover?
Barely.
Oh, okay. Because mine
I have to push down to feel them, but yeah, they're there.
Yeah.
But they also have.
I really like how it looks.
I like how it looks. I also have uneven pages.
So
like this side is uneven.
So I don't know if this is like a theme, but like we keep picking books that are just a little bit like, right? You know, we had The Loser, which was like that. I picked The Chimes and this one, so I apologize. But they're good because we can.
But you also picked Ecstasy.
That's true. Okay,
you also picked Ecstasy, and we all loved Ecstasy.
Yeah. Well, I think we've all had like picked like a weird one because like Amanda, Nocturnes was really weird. It made sense, but it was weird.
Which one was Nocturnes?
It was the 5 stories.
Oh, that was the 5. Yeah, okay.
5 stories. It's okay. It's been a while.
I picked like the one that had just laden with sex. Yay.
But thank you for the conversation because I guess we all realized, hey, this book is actually much better than we thought it would be coming into the book.
Yeah. That's really cool.
Yeah. All right. It is almost 9, so I probably should let you guys go. But it is my pick next month.
Yeah.
And we all have really, really, really busy like May and June. Yeah. So I decided to pick something light-ish. I went with, hold on. Where is it? I went with Terry Pratchett's Soul Music.
Oh, Terry Pratchett. Oh my God.
Do you want me to read the back for you guys?
Yes, I
haven't read Terry Pratchett in so long.
I know. So it's less than 400 pages. So it's really short and it's really easy to read. So it says in the back, being 16 is always difficult, even more so when there's a death in the family with a capital D. After all, it's hard to grow up normally when grandfather rides a white horse and wields a scythe, especially if he decides to take a well-earned moment to uncover the meaning of life and discover himself in the process, so that you have to take over the family business and everyone mistakes you for the tooth fairy. And especially when you have to face the new and addictive music that has entered Discworld. It's lawless, it changes people, it's got a beat and you can dance to it. It's called music with rocks in and it won't fade away.
All right. I have not read any of the Discworld books, so.
So I looked this up on Goodreads. This is book 16 in a series.
No. Because there's like 40, 45 books in the Discworld series.
Oh.
You can read them in like trios and stuff, and they're all very much like.
Good Lord.
And stuff. But I think most of them you can read as standalone.
One-off, yeah. This one's a one-off.
Okay.
So.
Yeah. And I think, isn't Death a recurring character? Yeah.
It's Death number 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think we'll be fine.
Yeah. So like I said, something nice and light.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
And something very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This will be different.
Yeah. So
the main character is 16?
Yeah. There you go. YA all over again.
No! I read so much YA.
Yes, but this is supposed to, it's dry English humor, is it not?
I think it will be.
Ratchet, I think so.
Yeah.
Is it kind of like Neil Gaiman? Neil Gaiman's a little dry too.
Yeah. Well, they all like wrote in them around the same time, right? And they're all like, contemporaries of each other.
Wrote with Terry Pratchett a lot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. There's a bunch of their books. Yeah. But that's my pick. So hopefully you guys get a copy of this. Yeah, I think that's it. Any parting words, guys?
Give it a shot. See what you think.
Yeah.
You know what? I might want to read this, like, because this was such a quick read. I read it in like maybe like 5 days.
Yeah.
In between like bus rides and stuff. I'm gonna give it like a month and I'm gonna read it again.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
And then just so that like now that I have that context, I was like, oh, okay, that's what that meant here and there, then here and there. I think I might actually enjoy it a little bit more because I spent most of it just being confused.
But now that you kind of know where it's going and what to expect, you can probably pick up like the little things. You're like, oh, okay, right?
That would be kind of. You let us know, keep us updated. I guess not the next book club meeting, but the next one.
Yeah.
August, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we can figure it out like when, because I think. Well, no, I mean, we'll figure it out. I think it's either going to be. Yeah, either July or August, because I think we decided that we didn't want to do it in June because end of June is cray-cray.
Oh, that's, can't do with that.
We'll figure it out. We'll talk offline.
Terry Pratchett will be sort of maybe beginning of July.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sounds good, yeah.
Sounds great.
Woo!
All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us. Have a good night. We'll see you guys later. Bye.
See ya.
Bye.